Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell you about an ARC that I received from NetGalley. The book is called Before She Was Found by Heather Gudenkauf. At the center of Before She Is Found are three 12-year-old girls who form this on-again, off-again friendship group. In the opening of the book, one of these 12-year-old girls is brutally attacked. The rest of the story is about finding out exactly what happened to these three girls, especially the one who was injured. The three girls are Cora, Jordan, and Violet, and the story is told from the perspectives of people who knew the girls. So, Violet's mother, Jordan's grandfather, and in Cora's case, her narrative is told mostly through journal entries and also through interactions with a psychiatrist. Cora is the girl who's injured. Jordan is sort of this stereotypical high school bully kind of girl. And Violet is the new girl in town who doesn't know many people at all. Now, if you're from the United States, chances are you have heard of the Slender Man murders. It took place in Wisconsin, and two 12-year-old girls lured a third girl into the woods and brutally stabbed her, I think, upwards of 20 times. The girl survived, but obviously their intention was to kill her in tribute to this fictional character, Slender Man. And Before She Was Found, there's a lot of influence in this book, or it seems that there's a lot of influence in this book from that incident in Wisconsin. The girls are in a group together. They've done a school project based on an urban legend. They've chosen to write about a guy in town years ago who supposedly burned his own house down and kidnapped a teenager and then comes back every few years to kidnap other teenagers. His name was Joseph Withers. And the girls are saying that Joseph Withers is responsible. Do I feel like this book pulled from that true life story? Yes, I do. But the outcome is not the same. The results are not the same. The end, don't think you know the story just because you may have heard of this other real life case. The story jumps around a lot. There's bits of the narrative told by four different individuals. It reads sort of like a case file, and it definitely keeps the reader both involved and invested and alert and on their toes. You have to kind of pay attention to what's going on and remember who's who. There's a lot of characters in this book. Overall, I give this book 3 stars. It very easily deserves 3 stars for the way it keeps you engaged and wanting to continue reading. And I think it's a well-written book that definitely holds suspense and a substantial amount of mystery. I recently mentioned after reading The Night Olivia Fell that I didn't want to immerse myself in a lot of books where the event has already happened and everybody is relatively safe and it's just about finding out the why and the what exactly and maybe punishing the person or people responsible. Those are really iffy books for me because they can be boring if the characters in the book don't have anything to lose because they're only trying to figure out what happened back here. Not my favorite. But I can say that while Before She Was Found is all about an event that happened and then figuring out who did it and why, it's told in a way that doesn't bother me. It's told in a way that I read it all the way through happily, readily, willingly, without thinking at any point, without thinking, oh, here we go again, or oh, it's another one of those books. No, I do appreciate the book for having that structure, but having the style to keep my interest, to hold my interest, to make it suspenseful enough and interesting enough to not fall into that category for me. And there are parts of this book that are kind of creepy and kind of eerie and kind of scary. Even as the arc, the way that I read it, I do think that a lot of people would enjoy this book. This book's shortcomings for me revolve around its plot twist or its big reveal of what actually happened. I can't go as far as to say it's unbelievable, like the plot twist in the Stillwater Girls, because it's not. It's a believable plot twist, but it left me very confused. I feel like the book really expertly shifted all of these puzzle pieces around. I felt like it was doing a 5,000 piece puzzle, and it kept shifting all these pieces around, and then when it was all said and done, there were still several puzzle pieces out of place. It didn't all click in for me. After I finished the book, I went back and immediately reread a portion of it because I was just convinced I must have missed something. But no, I hadn't. I'd read it like it was written, and yet I still walked away kind of confused. It didn't, like I said, fall into place for me. I feel like the most masterful thrillers basically reveal so much to the audience without the audience realizing it's a reveal, right? Then when they get that last piece of information, the reader should be like, oh, that's why, or how did I miss that? Whereas with this particular book, I feel like I read it as it was presented, and then this big reveal came, and I felt like I had been dishonestly misled. Instead of burying hints or clues, instead of writing things a certain way in order to tease the book's audience, I feel like I was intentionally misdirected, very bluntly misdirected, and then got no, just kidding, kind of reveal. Does that make any sense? Had the beginning of this book been executed differently, I could have accepted the reveal a little easier. The characterization in this book was great. Like I said, it did have a lot of characters, but Jordan and Violet and Cora, these three 12-year-old girls, were done well. I felt like they were actually realistic portrayals of 12-year-old girls. Jordan being the kind of snotty, snippy, rebellious, troublemaking one who doesn't treat other people very well because maybe she's been not treated well in the past. Violet, who is a victim of the choices that her mother has made. They've only recently come to this really small town because her mother had decided to run off with a man. The man chose not to follow through with some of the promises he'd made, so they were halfway across the country to see him, and they just stopped and found themselves living in this Iowa town. And Violet is the outsider, and she stands out socioeconomically. She stands out as the new girl, and so really she's just desperate to have friends. And while she gets along well with Cora, there's something about Jordan's approval that everybody just naturally seeks, pretty much because they don't want to be on Jordan's bad side. And then Cora, of course, is just, I get the impression, this very shy, quiet girl who doesn't have any friends, not because there's something about her that people don't like, but because she is quiet and she doesn't assert herself. Those three characters were done really well. The parents, a lot of this book is told from parents or guardians' perspective, and it really raises questions about our loyalty to our children. How readily do you believe that your child has done this horrible thing if everyone else says that they have? Are you on your child's side? And if so, how far do you go to protect your child? All of that is addressed in this book. There are two parents, Violet's mother and Jordan's grandfather, who handle things very differently. They're very different people. It was probably the most interesting part of the book, is watching their love for their child or granddaughter override what I would think would be ingrained moral and ethical beliefs. This was also my first Heather Gudenkauf read. I have, I think, 4 or 5 Heather Gudenkauf books on my TBR shelves. I'm not in any way deterred from reading Heather Gudenkauf. Like I said, I think that this book was interesting, and for what it contained, it was intricate and complicated, and definitely a thriller worth reading. And I think a lot of other people maybe wouldn't be as confused as me or as confused as I was. I think a lot of other people would be able to just take the book and then the twist at face value, or the reveal at face value, and be really truly surprised. I mean, you'll be surprised because it's not at all what you're set up to believe, and end up really enjoying it, especially if this is a stylistic thing for Heather Gudenkauf and you're a fan. I don't know. I'm looking forward to finding out. I will do my best to get to one of her other books very soon. In the meantime, though, Before She Was Found is available tomorrow, April 16th. If you have any questions or any temptation to either read or definitely not read this book, let me know all of that stuff in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.